Hi, Lily. Today we will learn how to train your brain to think in English. Are you ready?
Hi, Teacher Jessica. Yes, I'm ready. But I have a question. Why is thinking in English so important? I usually translate words in my head, but it takes time, and sometimes I get confused.
That's a great question, Lily. When you think in English, your brain learns to use the language naturally. You don't have to translate from your first language. This helps you speak faster and more smoothly. It also makes it easier to understand English because you are not always switching between two languages. Do you feel that translating slows you down?
Yes, it does. Especially when I talk to someone, I have to stop and think about the right words. Sometimes, I even forget what I was going to say.
That's very common. But if you train your brain to think in English, you won't need to pause so much. You will feel more confident when speaking. Let's try a simple exercise. Look around you and say the names of things you see in English. Can you try that?
Okay, let me see. I see a laptop, a table, a chair, a window. Oh, and a plant. But what if I don't know the word for something? Should I skip it?
Good question. Don't skip it. Instead, try to describe it in English. For example, if you don't know the word bookshelf, you can say, "It is a place where I keep my books." This way, your brain keeps thinking in English, and you also learn new words. Can you try describing something you see but don't know the word for?
I see something that holds papers together. I don't know the word, but I can say, it is a tool that keeps papers in place.
That's perfect. That tool is called a paperclip, but now you have a way to explain it if you forget the word. Let's try another step. Now think in full sentences. What simple sentences can you make about what you are doing right now?
I can say, I am sitting at my table, or I am learning English. But sometimes, I don't know if my sentences are correct. What should I do then?
Those are great sentences. Don't worry too much about mistakes when you practice alone. The most important thing is to keep practicing. If you are not sure, you can write the sentence down and check it later. Or, you can ask someone for help. What other sentences can you think of about your surroundings?
The sun is shining through the window, and my plant is growing well. But what if I want to talk about something I will do later? How do I say that in English?
Great sentences. To talk about the future, you can use I'm going to or I will. For example, I'm going to study English later, or I will call my friend tonight. How would you describe your plans for the rest of the day?
I think I would say, I'm going to cook dinner later, and I will watch a movie tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, that's perfect. Talking about your plans in English is a great way to practice using different tenses. You can also think about what you did earlier today. For example, this morning I went for a walk. How would you describe your morning?
This morning I had breakfast and studied for a while. Then I went to the store. But sometimes I forget words for what I did. How can I remember them better?
That's a common problem. One way to remember words is to use them in sentences as soon as you learn them. You can also review them every day, maybe before bed or in the morning. Flashcards are also a great way to help. How do you usually try to remember new words?
I write them in a notebook, but sometimes I forget to look at them again. Maybe I should try flashcards or an app. Do you think that would help?
Yes. Flashcards and apps are great because they make learning fun. They also help you practice every day, which is very important. Another tip is to use new words in a conversation as soon as possible, even if you're just talking to yourself. How often do you practice speaking English?
I try to practice a few times a week, but I'm usually alone. So I talk to myself, or sometimes to my dog. It feels a little strange. Is that normal?
That's completely normal. Talking to yourself in English is a great way to practice. It helps you remember what you've learned and makes it easier to think in English. You can also imagine having a conversation with someone. What kinds of things do you say to yourself in English?
I say things like, I'm cooking dinner now, or I need to finish this work. Sometimes I pretend I'm talking to a friend and ask, how was your day? Then I answer myself.
That's an excellent way to practice. You can also imagine situations like ordering food at a restaurant or asking for directions. This will help you feel more comfortable with real conversations. Can you think of another situation you could practice?
Maybe I could imagine being in a store asking for help. I could say, excuse me, where can I find the bread? Or if I'm traveling, I could ask, how do I get to the train station? Does that sound good?
Those are great examples. Imagining different situations is a good way to build confidence. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll feel in real-life conversations. Another fun exercise is to describe your whole day in English. Can you try that?
Sure, let's see. This morning I woke up early and had breakfast. Then I went for a walk and enjoyed the fresh air. After that, I came home and started studying English. Later, I will cook dinner and watch a movie. How was that?
That was excellent. Practicing like this helps you think in English naturally. You can also plan your day in English in the morning. That way, you will keep thinking in English all day. Have you ever tried planning your day in English?
Not really, but I like the idea. I usually think about my day in my first language, but I'll try to do it in English. Maybe something like, today I'm going to study, then I'll meet a friend for coffee. Does that sound good?
That's perfect. Planning your day in English is a great habit. It keeps your brain working in English and helps you practice different verb tenses. Another simple way to practice is by describing things you see or do, like, I'm drinking coffee, or I'm walking to the store. Would you like to try this?
Yes, I think I can do that. I'll start with simple things. But what if I don't know how to describe something? Should I skip it?
No, don't skip it. Try to describe it in the easiest way possible. For example, if you don't know the word umbrella, you could say, it's something you use when it rains. This keeps you thinking in English. Can you describe something you see now?
Let's see. I see a remote control, but I could say, it's the thing I use to change the TV channel. Does that work?
That's perfect. You're doing great. Over time, you'll learn more words and be able to describe things in detail. You can also describe your thoughts and feelings. How do you feel right now?
Right now, I feel excited because I'm learning new things, but also a little nervous because I want to do everything correctly. Is that a good way to say it?
That's a great way to express yourself. It's normal to feel nervous, but mistakes are part of learning. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Do you have any more questions about thinking in English?
Just one. How long will it take to think in English without trying so hard?
It depends on how much you practice. If you practice every day, it will become easier in a few months. The key is to keep going, even when it feels difficult. How often do you think you can practice?
I think I can practice every day, even for a few minutes. I'll start with single words, then sentences, and then conversations. Does that sound like a good plan?
That's a great plan. Even a little practice every day makes a big difference. You're already doing very well, Lily. Keep practicing, Be patient, and soon, thinking in English will feel natural.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I feel more confident already. I'll keep practicing.